Ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and no matter what you do on this earth, whether it be a way of doing things, a new invention, a new way of looking at something that would otherwise be considered mundane, there is always one singular individual that has to do it first. With all things in this life, there is a beginning and an end. And accepting that as a truth, we have Mr. Elliot Mark Jones here. And don't worry, I'm not doxing him by releasing his name. He literally plasters it over everything online. And as he is a gaming advertiser and former game developer who makes use of his full name, then my using it is not a violation of privacy. Elliot Mark Jones recently posted an exceptionally arrogant statement on Medium in which he claims sole responsibility for the downfall of Steam's Greenlight and how he made himself wealthy through the use of unethical business practices. In it, he outlined how he started by first holding giveaways of his own game Redactum in order to build up a social media presence, requiring people to like and share his social media accounts and requesting that people write reviews of the game on Steam and on the now defunct Indie Game Stand. He then turned around and aggressively advertised about 5% of the games that were currently on Steam Greenlight for free, making use of similar tactics. In the article, he states, "Because of the advertising, the 5% of games I chose to advertise received significantly more votes than the other games on the service, and the average amount of votes a game on the service got rose tremendously. This meant that the 95% of games that I didn't choose to advertise, even the good ones, found themselves without enough votes to pass the voting stage. This was a genius move by myself, as it meant that any game that wanted enough votes to sell on the Steam platform needed to work with me, and therefore, in the span of just a few weeks, I had advertised hundreds of games and generated thousands of pounds in profit for my new company. Overnight, I had turned a democratic voting system created by one of the world's most profitable companies into a dictatorship, and I was the leader." In the statement, Elliot continues to make reference to him and his girlfriend and whatever particular month-long vacation they were on at that particular time, as well as stating that he had spoken to a former Valve employee who had stated that Valve were well aware of what he was doing and were thinking about how to stop him for a long time. He then went on to outline the replacement of Steam's Greenlight with the new Steam Direct, again taking credit for the ills that have befallen the indie gaming scene on the Steam platform. Suddenly, the average indie game on Steam went from an almost guaranteed revenue of a few thousand to being lucky to generate over a few hundred. Steam Direct had killed the indie gaming scene, and I was solely responsible. And right along with asset flippers and any other number of shady developers, bot farmers, fake key giveaway sites, and fake review sites, Elliot Mark Jones profited greatly with the new Steam Direct, which is no great surprise, really. With the new Steam Direct, there's quite literally no meaningful barrier to entry, which has allowed asset flippers to run rampant on the site, flooding it with a large number of new garbage on a daily basis. And Elliot's advertising business, EMJ Advertising, has apparently made a good deal of money by gaming the system. And while I know there will be a lot of people out there that will just look at this and simply say, yeah, he gamed the system, good for him, I can't help but feel like my hand is touching the skin of a snake when I'm reading all of this self-aggrandizing nonsense, not to be confused with the perfectly acceptable and not at all over-the-top self-aggrandizement that I myself indulge in. One example is within his 10 ways to promote your indie game, in which he states, "Even bad press is good press. Gaming websites love a good scandal, and once a big site like Polygon has covered your PR crisis, all the YouTubers will jump on the same bandwagon. The No, Review Tech USA, TGN, etc. Usually these websites would never have even touched your game, but now because you fired your main programmer or made some questionable comments on Twitter, thousands of people are reading about your game. As long as the scandal isn't about your game being bad or full of bugs, you'll come out on the other side with thousands of new sales." And that's the crux of it right there. Do something despicable in order to boost visibility of your game, as long as that something doesn't involve the game itself. The worst part is, it works. I mean, here I am talking about Elliot and his smugness in a video because I find him to be utterly repugnant, and as with anything else, the greatest disinfectant is the light of information and awareness. He doesn't need to advertise himself. He is such a completely unlikable person on paper that channels like mine will do our best to warn others about him, and in the end, possibly drive views to him. I know that I've always said that video gaming, more specifically the indie gaming scene, is typically anathema to the old adage that even bad press is good press, citing examples like Alex Maurer, Andrew Watt, H. Berdiev, Silicon Echo, Digital Homicide, Dentola Studios, and Doki in Dallas, to name but a few. Those who were not able to survive the onslaught of what they themselves brought down through their own despicable and deplorable actions. For various reasons, each and every one of them deserved probably far more than they got, but they got enough to satisfy most people. However, Elliot still shows us that as long as it doesn't involve the game itself, then the old rule may still apply. Well, here's hoping he's wrong and his desire to further enrich himself by attempting to force a PR controversy over his claims does not come to fruition. I suppose only time will tell. But as always, please do let me know what you think down in the comments below, and thanks to YouTube's going back to its age-old tricks of partially demonetizing my videos for the first few days, I'm forced to remind everyone directly that I do have a Patreon, and even $1 a month can be a tremendous help. Special thanks to the existing Patreon subscribers, especially the 20 and up club, and I'm working on a little something special for you guys, so stay tuned for that. Links to everything, of course, are down below. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and I'll see you next time.